Hello, welcome to Unspoken History. My name is Keisha. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I want to talk about my grandmother. I want to honor the memory of my grandmother this month. Her birthday was April the 8th, 1915. If she was alive today, she would be 110 years old. She died in 1985, the winter of 1985. But before she passed away, a friend of mine and I were sitting in her kitchen. We were conversating, and I believe we were conversating about, we were upset about something white people did or something like that. And she overheard us talking about it. Like, she was always listening to our conversations. I just didn't know she was. And so she overheard us and she said, Keisha? And I said, yes. And she said, you better leave these white people alone. And I was like, she said, there's something wrong with white people. And she turned around and walked away. She never expounded. She didn't tell me why she felt that way, what had happened to her to make her come to that conclusion. She didn't tell me any of that. And then before I was writing the book, well, before I actually wrote the book, it was just kind of, I was gathering the information. It was being gathered for me in my head, like, you know, look for this, and look for that, and look for this. And so I was doing a lot of prayer and meditation. So I would sit for hours in silence and just wait, like, Lord, tell me something, give me some direction, because everything out here is screwed up. It was twisted, upside down, inside out, just crazy, everything to me. So I had to relearn everything again. But one thing that the conclusion that I came to was that my grandmother said this because of what happened to her parents. So, and I didn't know this until, like I said, I was doing some prayer and meditation time, and I was sitting there with my eyes closed, and I don't know how long I had been sitting there, but I saw this scene of a woman falling down a well. She, you know, I could see like her dress and her arms, and she was looking up, and she was like, she was trying to grab onto something as she was falling, but she was on fire. And so this popped up in my thoughts, and I said, man, Lord, who was that? And some said, that was your grandmother. And I kind of shook a little bit, kind of came out of my little quiet time, you know, and I was like, okay, my grandmother. Well, it was maybe 3 or 4 years after that. Yeah, I want to say when I went down, it was 2021 when I went to see my aunt. This is my grandmother's daughter, not the oldest, she's the second oldest. So I'll go to visit her, and we're sitting at the table talking, and she comes out and says, you know, my grandparents were set afire by white people. And I just looked at my husband because I had told him about what I saw. And that confirmed it for me that was what I saw when I was in prayer. Somebody burning, and something told me that was my grandmother. So my aunt confirmed that was my grandmother. And then I still couldn't wrap my head around, okay, her parents were set fire. That still shouldn't be a reason to think that there's something wrong with white people. And so she was an infant, so she never got to know her parents. This was so after the fire, the relatives went over to my great-grandparents' house and found the babies. My grandmother is a twin. She has a twin sister. They found the babies, and so one family took one baby and another family took another baby, and that's how they grew up. So, I mean, I can see people telling you the story, well, they burnt your parents for nothing. I mean, they didn't do anything wrong. But my grandmother lived through the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. If you're a Negro in America over 50, you could understand what I'm talking about. Or even a white person in America that was here, you would know what I'm talking about. So I guess she just had never met any white people that were nice, that were good. Like, must have been white people she worked for, the white people she encountered at the store, white people at the doctor's, the white people when you go in to pay your bills. Maybe she just encountered all wicked white people. Because by the time I was growing up, it was okay for the nice white people to now show that they care about everybody and not just white people, right? For those people in America that really do care about everyone because they have the love of the Most High in their heart or whatever. My grandmother stuck to herself, so she stuck with her friends, her people, doing her thing because of the experiences that she had. So it just took me a long time to understand the statement because I didn't grow up in the world that she grew up in, only partially. So I'm still feeling the effects of that world. I'm still fighting for a full idea of freedom, but I didn't have to encounter the things she did in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and seeing these things happening, you know, things being destroyed, people being killed, and what was the law? Where was the law to vindicate or to say, well, we're subjects of this country, you're supposed to protect us, but not if it's a white person doing it. Well, then you have no protection. And so I can just imagine what her mind was like growing up with this idea. Even in the 80s, I felt like nobody was there for us. Like people can just do whatever they want to us. And I grew up in Michigan, so I saw the police shoot down a whole bunch of people, unarmed people. So, and then no repercussions. Oh, well, you know, they're innocent. And this is what you show. This is what you show us on TV is that anybody, not just the police, anybody can shoot you and say, I fear for my life. You know, that was a whole big thing going on for a long time. So I'm just saying that to say that my grandmother experienced a lot. She had to see a lot, watch a lot, absorb a lot of this horrible treatment of people after slavery. Now, you hear people saying all the time, well, we shouldn't have to, you know, that was slavery. That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was. But some of these people never let it go. And therefore, we're still living under slavery type laws. So I blew it off because I was like, you know how you do that when your parents tell you something, you don't understand it, so you just think they don't know what they're talking about. It's because your brain can't understand it yet. So when the other day when I thought about it, I was like, no, I didn't think about anything. It was brought back to my attention. And I said, so my grandmother didn't tell me that her parents were lynched when she made the statement. If she had said to me, leave these white people alone, there's something wrong with these white people. They'll lynch you for nothing. They lynched my parents. That's why I had to grow up. I would have understood a little bit more, but she didn't say that part. She just said, you better leave these white people alone. There's something wrong with these white people. And yeah, I understand that her opinion is based off of her life's experience with these people. And back then, you're not going to be openly friends with Negroes. You might be able to be friends with some of them other black folks, like, you know, the ones in the NAACP, the ones graduating with doctorate degrees, while the other ones over here still trying to figure out how to get to school so they can learn to read, so they can get a job. So no, I'm saying my grandmother, the experience that she had was that of negativity, a constant negativity from these other people. So that's why she said what she said. I just didn't get it because my mind wasn't mature enough to understand what she was saying. And she also didn't finish the story by not telling me about the lynching part. And so, yeah, I am focusing on my grandmother today. So with that, I'm having a little private birthday party for my grandma. And I'm going to eat some cake because like I said well, you'll see in the video, I did not get to eat cake with my grandmother on her birthday ever. I never knew when her birthday was. It would just come and go. I was living my life, running around, enjoying eating the cake that she was baking. Never knowing when it was her birthday. So today we're going to have a birthday party for Miss Ethel Bernard and her twin sister, Ethel. Their name was Ethel and Ethel. Yes, it was.